let's go from the outhouse to the penthouse. And what we're going to do here is you pick the two teams, and this goes for the 4 people watching. Mm-hmm. I want to know the 2 teams that you want to be in the Super Bowl, i.e. pick it with your heart, but still use a little sense. Don't pick like I'm an Eagles fan, but they're not going to make it.
We're excluding the Redskins and Eagles.
Right. So so you got to pick 2 teams that you want to see in the Super Bowl, and then 2 teams you think are going to be in the Super Bowl. And for you people who watch this show long enough, you should be able to separate them. You understand here at the Uncut Sports Show, we do have our favorites, but we also use our head. So 2 teams you're going to pick with your heart, and 2 teams you're going to pick with your head.
Let me see. I would say definitely in the AFC. I would say I think I'd like to see Denver.
Is that your head pick or your heart pick?
Right now I'm going to do my head pick. I like to see. Okay. My heart pick. I'd like to see Denver, and I'd like to see. Obviously, the Skins can go. I'd like to see Detroit. I'd like to see Denver and Detroit. If 2 teams that I'm not, pulling for, if it's not my home team, I'd like to see Denver and Detroit. Now.
And then who would you like to see win that game?
I'd like to see, I don't know, man. I would just like to see some crazy records. I'd like to see it get aired out the whole time. I'd like to see Manning win it. And why? Because if it came down to that, Stafford's a little bit younger, and I think they'll have their shot if they're able to make it to that, which is obviously me and daydream mind. But I think
ask Steven Strasburg about that shit.
Exactly. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's a good point. But I just think Manning is so very deserving of it. And I think I do
too. And I think that might silence everyone saying how he's not a great quarterback.
Right. People just say, oh, he doesn't have a Super Bowl. And I felt bad for Marino when he went through that. And I feel like both of these guys are really good quarterbacks. And because they don't have the Super Bowls and they didn't have the defenses, that they get fucked for it. So that's who I wish would go. Who I think will go, I think probably the Seahawks. And why I think the Seahawks, I think the Seahawks are the Saints, but I think the Seahawks because I think the defense. I think what will happen is the Seahawks will get the home field advantage, and they're going to be playing in that 12th man. And I think that's going to be the difference maker. They're going to have the best record probably in the NFC. And because of that, that's going to give them the home field advantage. And I think if any team, it gives them more of it's the Seahawks. Now, the same thing could be honestly said on the AFC side for Kansas City, but I think something will happen there, and that team's young, and they'll unravel somewhere along the way, and they won't make it. I think they'll get defeated. I still think that if Denver can gel it up, Denver can go. Because I think, I could say the Colts, there's a lot of teams, but I think you got the best leader in Manning. I think you've got a pretty solid coach in John Fox. And I think Denver's defense will probably get better because they have all those players returning. And I think they'll get better as the season goes on. And if they have the best, if they have the home field advantage, you're playing at Mile High, which wins the fuck out of people. So I think I'd say Denver. I'd say Denver and Seattle. Now, what about you?
Nice. Now, if I had to go with my heart pick, because that's how I always pick. Unfortunately, there's 3 teams in the AFC I wish I could pick that I'd like to see, and that would be Cincinnati, Indy, and Kansas City. But my ultimate, if I could just take 2 teams and put them in there, it would be Kansas City versus San Francisco, and Kansas City winning by 35.
Right.
And then Alex Smith, not just going over and shaking his ex-coach's hand and the owner's hand and going, "Thank you for my Super Bowl," and turning around and walking away. That to me would be a perfect ending to this season. That's just me. Because I think Alex Smith has gotten the shaft, and now he's just proven, you don't have to pass for 5,000 yards to be a good quarterback in the NFL. You don't. You have to manage games and you have to win, because that's how we measure quarterbacks, and it should be by W's.
Well, I think that would be the most redeeming way for it, redeeming way for the season to play out. And I got to agree with you. That would be special to see Alex Smith be able to say "fuck you" to San Francisco, and at the same time, Andy Reid be able to say the same thing. You know what I mean? To Philadelphia. And like you said, they're both deserving of it. Will that play out? I don't know. I think San Francisco's got their own problems.
I don't think it'll play out. Now, my head says Denver and New Orleans.
Denver, New Orleans?
Yep.
Yeah,
because I think Sean Payton. I think what it's going to come down to is Sean Payton versus Pete Carroll, and I think Sean Payton's a better coach than Pete Carroll.
Yeah.
And I think Seattle's going to stumble, and they're not going to have the best record. I think they're going to have to go through New Orleans to get to the Super Bowl.
I think this too. I think in the NFC, I agree with you. It's going to come down to Seattle and the Saints, I think, and I think it's going to be the team that has the home field advantage. If the Saints are hard to beat in the Superdome and the Seahawks are hard to beat in Seattle, and Breeze Place is not as good, obviously, not on turf. I mean,
right. He plays better indoors because he plays the majority of his games indoors. But
right.
I think it's going to be the winner of that, and I think they're going to be facing off against. I think Peyton's going to do it. I think Kansas City's going to slip, and they're not going to get home field. But here's the thing: even if Kansas City does have home field, and Denver has to travel to Kansas City, they're going to beat them.
Yeah.
Because Peyton's been playing outside in Denver. So Kansas City, it's at a lower elevation. It's not going to be that much different.
Yep.
It'll be in a hostile environment, and I don't think your cornerbacks are going to make the same mistake they did last year.
No, I agree with you, man. Now, there's one thing. There's always the dark horse, not even a dark horse, but the Patriots, who have slowly been finding a way to beat everybody. When I thought they're slowly.
And the unfortunate thing about the Patriots, while I cut you off, is all the players they've hurt or lost, they're not coming back. These are season ending. These aren't, we're going to get you back in week 14 or 15. These are done.
Yep.
So in a way, in what you were saying, in a way, this could help them because they find a role player, they find someone else to get in there, and that guy plays the rest of the season, and then you don't have to worry about working a vet or your starter back in, because these are the guys you have to roll with.
Right.
Like Tom Brady has to play with these guys because there's no heroes on the bench coming back week 12, 13, 14, 15. They're not coming.
That's a good point. I mean, you're absolutely right about that. I mean, they've been riddled with injuries throughout the season, and it keeps happening, and they got that fall off. But at the same time, Brady's finding a way to get it done. The defense is finding a way to get it done. I think that's the biggest surprise, is that the defense is doing well, and I think that was that to me, you're never going to sleep on Brady. You know that even though he doesn't have the core receivers he's had in the past, that like Manning, he's going to teach them, he's going to educate on them. He is a motivator. He is super, super competitive, and he's going to get it done on his side of the ball. But the thing was, okay, what's the defense going to be able to do? Are they going to be able to keep points off the board? And they're showing that they can do that, and I think that's what's making a difference up in New England.